Jameela Jamil, Harry's wife's friend, part 10. The conclusion. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Have you voted in the poll and seen what other people are thinking with regard to what they believe Jameela Jamil to be? You've listened to the evidence. You've probably seen other evidence yourself. I have looked at other evidence that I've not gone through. There is a plethora of it about her. For instance, there's a very interesting thread, runs to many, many pages about her on Tattle Live, showing various examples of her behaviour, which I've also had due regard to. There's other evidence that I have considered, which I've included in the final conclusion, without necessarily going through it all. Otherwise, it leads to very long dissection, and often the examples repeat themselves with regard to the way that she behaves. With regard to Jameela Jamil, we can see that there is evidence of a sense of entitlement. She's somebody that engages in incessant messaging, both in terms of writing on Twitter, on her Instagram, and also messaging people directly, as has been unearthed by the evidence. She engages in the shelving dynamic, picking people up and putting them down, treating them as she sees fit. She's self-absorbed. She seriously believes that she is an amazing individual and that she is somebody that you should have in your life. There's clear evidence of a lack of accountability from her behaviours. She tells lies. Her help is only offered on a transactional basis. She doesn't have any genuine friends. She doesn't offer people meaningful emotional support. It's superficial. Conversation is superficial in nature. There's no genuine apology for her behaviours. It would appear that she doesn't address relationship issues, problems, for example, with those of her parents. And therefore, there is significant evidence of a lack of accountability. There is significant evidence of grandiose behaviour. She repeatedly engages in showmanship. She thinks she's better than she actually is. She engages in flowery language. She's prone to exaggeration. She's vain. She engages in monologues. She dominates conversation, and she thinks she's cleverer than she actually is. There's significant evidence of haughty behaviour. She badmouths family. She's condescending. She's dismissive, holds court, is arrogant, believes she's always right. She is snippy. She operates with a closed mind. She has a reputation for being difficult, and she's judgmental. There's overwhelming evidence of manipulative behaviour, which includes flattery, the telling of lies, triangulation with object, triangulation with person, present silent treatment, absent silent treatment, pity play, smearing, promised gain, false compassion, false contrition, invalidation, belittlement, withdrawal, denial, use of guilt, provocation, projection, blame shifting, word salad, use of threat, control through food, use of insult, use of fury, revision of history, gaslighting, feigned misunderstanding, argumentativeness, bullying, intimidation, deflection, false accusation, isolation, cross-examination, accusations out of nowhere, vagueness, use of ill health, suicide threat, bringing up the past, and feigned illness. She doesn't have any boundary recognition. This is evidenced by the way that she engages in incessant messaging. She's prying. She has inappropriate communications with people. She exhibits sexual fluidity. She talks over people. She doesn't allow privacy. She interferes in people's relationships. She engages in oversharing. She takes over space, and it's evident that she breaches confidences. There's overwhelming evidence of the narcissistic dynamic, namely mirroring, familial discord, facade management, treating others as an extension of self, character trait acquisition, black and white thinking, the exhibition of the need to assert control, the exhibition of a response to a perceived threat to that control, hypocrisy, the exhibition of envy, objectification, compartmentalization, paranoia, hoovering, one-upmanship, use of a hunting ground, delusion, competitiveness, acts as a moral guardian, relationship bulletins, shelving dynamic, micromanagement, superficiality. Finally, there's an absence of emotional empathy occasioned by her vast manipulative behaviours. Accordingly, as a consequence of a consideration of the evidence with regard to Jameela Jamil and the finding that there's evidence of a sense of entitlement, significant evidence of a lack of accountability, significant evidence of grandiosity, significant evidence of haughty behaviours, overwhelming evidence of manipulative behaviour, no boundary recognition, overwhelming evidence of the narcissistic dynamic, and a lack of emotional empathy, the finding is that she is a narcissist. Was this the conclusion that you reached? Did you determine that she was a narcissist, or do you think she's something different? If so, argue your case in the comments, or if you agree with me that she is a narcissist, then you can confirm as such. But what type of narcissist is she? What is her school in Cadra? Do you see her as somatic, cerebral, victim, or an elite in terms of the various cadres? What about her sub-school? Do you think she's an aware narcissist? Do you think she knows what she's doing? Or do you think she's hopelessly unaware? Do you think she's a greater and therefore is aware? And if she is she lower greater, middle greater, or upper greater? If you think she's unaware, does she fall within lesser or mid-range? If she's within lesser, is this lower lesser, middle lesser, upper lesser A, or upper lesser B? If you think she's mid-range, is she lower mid-range, middle range A, middle range B, or upper mid-range? She's Harry's wife's friend. Do you see similarities in their behaviours? Do you see why they would perhaps flock together at certain instances and play off one another? If you believe that she's a particular sub-school, why not explain in the comments which sub-school you think, ahead of finding out the sub-school and Cadra in a separate video. If you've enjoyed this analysis of Jameela Jamil, feel free to share it to other people to help them understand more about narcissism, and also to show your appreciation through super thanks. My thanks in advance of you doing so. It's important for these analyses to reach many people to ensure that this work is spread, and so that more people have an understanding of what's actually going on there. With the accusations about her having Munchausen syndrome, you can look at that with reference also to my video about Munchausen syndrome by proxy and make the appropriate links to this behaviour and, of course, narcissism. Thank you very much for listening to this series about Jameela Jamil and to determine what she is, and, of course, interestingly, her being Harry's wife's friend. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.